Deoxys Defense Form is back in Pokemon Go. From now until July 16th, you can catch and fight Deoxys Defense Form in Tier 5 raids in Pokemon Go. Once Deoxys Defense Form leaves on the 16th, we're also getting Mewtwo back in raids in Pokemon Go, so double Psychic type hype going on here. Now, as you're probably already aware, but if you're not aware, Deoxys Defense Form is one of the best Pokemon in Great League PvP. I don't have one. I really want one, so I'm pretty excited for DoD coming back here. And then additionally, Deoxys Defense Form can hit 2,500 CP with XL Candy for the Ultra League, so there are some people eyeing that up as well. So to help you guys build Deoxys Defense Form right, so you don't have to build it twice, I went over all the different IVs and breakpoints and matchups for Deoxys Defense Form in both the Great League and in the Ultra League, so I can let you guys know what the best IV spreads are for Deoxys Defense Form. Before I get into the IV spreads here, I just want to remind you guys that Deoxys Defense Form is quite possibly the hardest raid boss in all of Pokemon Go. Here on the estimator, it says it's going to take like 4 trainers. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to want to have 5 if you're all good, and then probably 7+ if you're with a random group there. So do prepare with other people, try to coordinate for the Deoxys Defense Form. And I didn't have time to make a Deoxys Defense Form like raid guide for you guys with like the graph and stuff. It just takes way too much time. But yeah, Pokebattler.com will let you know all the best counters to the Deoxys Defense Form raid to help you out. I work all weekend this weekend, so if I find some inspiration after the weekend, I might make a guide to help you touch up your Deoxys Defense Form raiding team to help you get more consistent clears in here. But all I can really say right now is use Pokebattler.com for the best counters and try to coordinate with as many other people as you can to hammer out as many Deoxys Defense Forms as you can. If you want to have a Deoxys Defense Form, I guess, because this is the best Pokemon. Okay, maybe not the best, but it is one of the best Pokemon in Great League PvP, and definitely don't want to miss out on this one. Also, to help you coordinate better for these raids as well, there is the Pokebattler Raid Party app. I have that app downloaded on my phone. I've used it 2 times in the past, and I will be using it quite a bit over the next 2 weeks here because I want to raid as many Deoxys Defense Forms as I possibly can. So if you are hosting on the Pokebattler Raid Party app, expect to see Ryan Swag in your lobby at least once there because I really want the Deoxys Defense Forms. So yeah, definitely check out this app if you haven't already. Link, of course, to Pokebattler and a link to this app in the description. You want to know what the best IV spreads are for Deoxys Defense Form in Great League PvP? Well, get your screenshot nonsense ready because here they are, man. These are the 13 best IV spreads, in my opinion, for Deoxys Defense Form in Pokemon Go. Now, why these 13 IV spreads? Because these are the 13, I guess, like most efficient IV spreads. Basically, you have to rank 1, right? And then we got the rank 3. Why isn't there a rank 2? Well, if you look at the rank 2 stats, the rank 2 is just a worse version of the rank 1, where the rank 3 has the same attack stat, less defense, but more HP. So at the end of the day, if you're going to be raiding the snot out of Deoxys Defense Form, do you really want to go with the rank 2, knowing that it's just a lesser rank 1? Or would you want to go with like the rank 3, knowing that it has something that's different, something that's unique to the rank 1 here? So following that kind of idea, I have these divvied up. Now when it comes to blue versus yellow, I just alternated colors, and they're separated roughly by their attack stat tier, if you will, or stat product tier, if you will. So then in each of those groups, I also have bolded, like more highlighted, I guess, the way that they're different from each other. So when it comes to the 14 versus the 17, they both have the same attack stat, but the 14 has higher defense, and the 17 has higher HP, and so on and so forth. And while I feel that all of these IV spreads are really great for Deoxys Defense Form, you also have to consider breakpoints. So I poured over the majority of the Great League matchups and different IV spreads in Great League PvP, and I found 3 Pokemon where breakpoints do come into play in a pretty consistent manner. The thing is with 2 of them, you might not be able to get a breakpoint on them, so I'll get into it for you. First Pokemon is Politoed. If Politoed has a 115.78 attack stat or higher, then you won't be able to get a defense breakpoint on it. However, that is a really high weighted attack stat Politoed. Most Politoeds are probably going to be closer to like the rank 1, like a low attack stat Politoed. So if you have a 224 defense stat or higher, then you will have a good chance of stopping a lot of Politoads being able to overcome you. And if you want to be even more like kind of thrifty with it, the 219 also probably stops it as well. I'd say overall the 221 defense stat is very safe. So 221 defense stat, you're probably going to be avoiding the Mudshot Breakpoint on Politoad. Now, how much does that Breakpoint even matter for Politoad? Well, Politoad still only wins if it lands the Earthquake in the one shield there. So it's like, if you shield the Earthquake, or if they don't even throw the Earthquake, then it doesn't even matter that they have that Breakpoint. So it's not that big of a deal. And then it's also possibly unavoidable too. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you are a bit concerned about the Politoad there, I'd say go for a Deoxys Defense Forme IV spread that has a 221 defense stat or higher. Then the next Pokemon to consider is the Alolan Ninetales with Powder Snow. It can hit an attack breakpoint at, wouldn't you guess it, 115.78 attack, which gives it 1 extra damage with the Powder Snow there. Now the thing is that if they hit that 115.78 attack stat, it is once again an unavoidable breakpoint. It doesn't matter how much defense you have, because it still has that breakpoint, so that is unfortunate. Another thing to consider though is that Alolan Ninetales needs a 131 to 133.85 defense stat to avoid your counter breakpoint. If they have the attack breakpoint, but you have the counter breakpoint, then you're able to possibly overcome them. So if you have an attack weighted Deoxys Defense Form, you could possibly flip that right back. However, if they do have the 133.85 defense stat, then you can't flip it right back, and that's just like the best set for the Alolan Ninetales there, and you're just kind of boned. You're just boned. So I imagine a lot of you are probably scratching your chins out there and checking out your Alolan Ninetales and your Alolan Vulpixes. So I have it on screen for you here. 115.78 attack, and then you also want to have roughly 133.85 defense. This Alolan Ninetales will be dominating Deoxys Defense Forms. So what can you possibly do to prepare for this perfect Alolan Ninetales? Apparently not much, but if you do have a bit of an attack weight on you, and they are thrifting on the defense, then you could catch them. For instance, my shiny Alolan Ninetales has really bad defense, and most Deoxys Defense Forms get the breakpoint on me if they have a slight attack weight, so that could work out for you. And then the final matchup where I feel like IVs and breakpoints really come into play, of course, is going to be the Mirror matchup. So how are you going to do good in the Deoxys Defense Form Mirror? Well, when it comes to the Thunderbolt moveset versus the Thunderbolt moveset, it's just CMP, Charge Move Priority. So the higher attack stat Deoxys Defense Form is going to win that Mirror matchup. Then when it comes to the Rock Slide versus Rock Slide Mirror, what I'm finding is that you want to have CMP, of course, and then you also want to have a 98 or higher HP stat in order to take on the Deoxys Defense Form. And then this situation also comes up with the Thunderbolt versus Rock Slide Mirror. The Thunderbolter can win that mirror, but they're going to want to have a 98 or higher HP stat. In this particular situation, if you don't have that, then you won't reach the Psycho Boost to take them down, and then the Rock Slider will just KO you on the fast move, and they'll have a Psycho Boost ready for the next Pokemon that comes in. So CMP is important for the mirror, 98 HP is also important for the mirror. I'd have to say the best Mirror Slayer moveset overall is going to be the rank 17, the 13, 11, 15, because it has the highest attack stat of the Deoxys Defense Forms that also hits the 98 HP, so obviously it's going to get the CMP, and it also has the HP stat. Of course, the rank 5 and rank 6 are also pretty good as well because they have high attack and they have 98 HP, so also keep that in mind. Additionally, there are 14 spreads altogether in the top 25, so 9 of them aren't shown on my list here that also hit 98 HP. So if you don't have any of these specific spreads, maybe check out your IV spreads using PvPoke or the Go Stadium IV checker, both linked in the description, to see if you're hitting that 90 HP if you are concerned about the Deoxys Defense Form mirror matchups. So if that's the case, why would you want to consider all the non-98 HP sets going on here? Well, many of them do have higher defense or higher attack stats. They're not bad IV spreads, they just do worse in the mirror in particular. Additionally, when it comes to the more attack weighted sets, like the rank 22 and the rank 67, they can hit breakpoints on Pokemon that are kind of slipping on their IVs there. What do I mean by slipping on their IVs? Well, there are counter breakpoints you can get on like non-rank 1 Pokemon if their defense stats are low enough. And Pokemon that I've identified that this can happen to are Clefable, Lantern, obviously the Alolan Ninetales. I think it also happens to Quagsire and Witchcash as well. And I believe there are other Pokemon too. How do I know this? Well, because I have several of those Pokemon, and they do have a low enough defense stat where a slight attack weight on a Deoxys Defense Form can get that breakpoint on them, and it flips the matchup, and it makes me feel really bad that I built them. Yeah, when it comes to this, I feel like the rank 22 is going to be my favorite of the attack weighted ones. It's got the 102.32 attack stat, and then it also has good defense and good HP. But if you do want to pump that up a little bit more, you know, the attack stat a little bit more, catch a couple more Pokemon that are slipping a little bit there, then I'd say go for the rank 67. When it comes to the rank 77, it does have one higher HP, but it does have like 20.6 less defense. And I feel like, you know, having that extra defense to possibly avoid a breakpoint is a little bit more important than having that one extra HP. So if you do want to go for an attack weighted Deoxys Defense Form, the 22 and the 67 are the two that I'm promoting to you here. Also, if you're wondering how many raids you're going to have to do to possibly get one of these IV spreads, well, if you're trying to get one of these 13 like good IV spreads on Deoxys Defense Form, you'll have to do about 12 raids for a 50% probability to get it, 20 for a 70% probability, and I feel like at that point, many of you should have it, but if you want to pump it up to like a 90% probability, well, then you'd have to do roughly 40 raids. Now, if you do want just one specific IV spread, one in particular, you have to do 260 raids to have a 70% probability for one specific IV spread. So that's why I have these 13 highlighted here for you, because doing 40 raids is a lot more reasonable than doing 260 plus raids. And once again, for that one specific IV spread, that's 260 plus for a 70% chance, like a 70% probability. That's not a 99.999% probability. And to be honest, you could do like 5,000 raids and you're still not guaranteed to get the right IV spread. So just, you know, be a bit reasonable when it comes to hunting down these IV spreads for your Deoxys Defense Form. Shoot for the moon, land among the stars, is what I'm saying. Now let's pump it up to the Ultra League. Also, if you want like a text-based version of all this information, including the breakpoints and the matchups that I went over here, I am writing an article on GamePress using this information as well, so when that article is up, link in the description to that, so you have a nice text-based way to reference this information, so you don't have to rewatch the video. Of course, I would love it if you could subscribe and share this video to people and stuff like that too. That is greatly appreciated as well, so make sure to do that. So Ultra League IV spreads. First thing I want to say to you guys about Ultra League Deoxys Defense Form is that it's not that great. It really isn't that good. And I know that there's going to be YouTubers out there that are going to be like, whoa, XL Deoxys Defense Form smokes all the noobs today. They do that, and it can win. It's not a bad Pokemon. It does have wins. It hits 2,500 CP, and it's really tanky, and it's got a good moveset. But looking at the meta, looking at all the matchups closely, it's really not that good. So to get all the XL candy for this raid exclusive Pokemon that you can't trade, you're going to have to do like, what, 80 plus raids? So that's like $80 for Ultra League Deoxys Defense Form, and it's really not even all that good. So, and then it takes like, what, like at least 5 minutes per raid, probably more. So you're spending like, what, over half a day doing nothing but being in a raid lobby for Deoxys Defense Form for the Ultra League. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm personally, like, I don't support Ultra League Deoxys Defense Form. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's worth it. But I did put in the legwork for you, because if you are interested, I think you want to know what the better IV spreads are. Now, when it comes to the ranks here, my ranks might be different than your ranks because I had the best buddy filter on using the Go Stadium IV checker. So like my rank 1, you know, that's using best buddy, the level 50.5. The rank 8 here, I think, is the traditional rank 1. So pay attention to the IV spreads, I guess, more so than the rank there. I'm sorry if that's a little bit confusing. It would be way too much work for me to try to undo this. So My apologies. And when it comes to the blue and yellow IV spreads, it's the same deal as the Great League, just the most efficient ones. However, the rank 3 here isn't most efficient, but it's best buddied, right? And it's not that much worse than the other ones. So I feel like if you're putting in this much investment into the Deoxys Defense Form, I guess it's not that big of a deal, you know, like, oh, you gotta be a super snob. So I included this guy. Of course, you know, the rank 8, which would be the traditional rank 1, or what I consider the rank 11 and 12, they're all fine too. So then you might be questioning, Ryan Swag, what's with these green IV spreads? What's going on here? And these spreads specifically hit breakpoints for Umbreon, Talonflame, and Registeel. They hit the 131.8 attack stat and the 126 HP stat. No other spreads hit both of these numbers at the same time. Only these 4 spreads do. When it comes to the 15-12-15 and then like the 15-11 and the 15-10, these two are worse iterations of the 15-12-15, but there's only 4 spreads. So if you happen to get these two and you don't get that one and you still want to do this stuff, then I'd say go for these ones for sure. And I'd say overall these green spreads here are probably like the big brain Omega Genius spreads for Deoxys Defense Form in the Ultra League. So what's going on? What's the significance of these values? Can I kind of divvy this up a little bit? And you absolutely can divvy it up a little bit here. The 126 plus HP is exclusively for the 1 shield Registeel matchup. You just have that extra HP to survive a hit and take it down. That's all that's going on there. So if you have higher than a 126 HP stat, then you can overcome that as well. However, if you do have higher than 126 HP, well then you're not going to get the attack stat for the Umbreon or the Talonflame breakpoint. The Talonflame breakpoint is the 131.86 attack stat, and that breakpoint will enable you to flip the 0-1 shield situation, which is pretty significant. So they have to spend a shield, you don't have to spend a shield, and you also beat them. So pretty significant there. And then when it comes to Umbreon, things get a little bit complicated. So the 131.9 attack stat gives you a breakpoint not on counter, but on rock slide. It changes your rock slide damage from 30 to 31. So having that 131.9 attack stat will allow you to do that against the non-best buddied XL'd Umbreon in the Ultra League, allowing you to flip the 1 shield situation. And like, I don't think any Umbreons are going to see that coming unless they watch this video and they somehow know that the rock slide hit them for that 1 extra damage. Like, come on, man, what is that? Now, if you do want to do that rock slide damage for the best buddied XL Umbreon, well then you're going to need to have roughly a 132.8 attack stat or higher. And there's only 12 spreads in existence that can hit that ultra high attack stat on the Umbreon. So the question is, do you want to have the 126 HP for Registeel? Or do you want to have that extra high attack stat so you can just completely clown and usurp the best buddied XL Umbreons? I'll leave that up to you to decide. Now, I don't have those ultra high attack stats featured here in this video. There's only 12 of them, so definitely use PvPoke or the Go Stadium IV checker to find out if you're getting that attack stat or not. And then finally, when it comes to the Deoxys Defense Form Mirror in the Ultra League, you need at least a 127 HP stat to tie the mirror. So if you're at that 126 HP stat, you will be losing the mirror, not tying the mirror. If you do have a 128 HP stat, you're still tying the mirror. So the whole best buddy situation for Deoxys Defense Form is kind of dumb overall, because you're not even winning the mirror now. You're not getting any extra breakpoints or anything like that. So it's just kind of silly to me. Also, when considering these HP weighted Deoxys Defense Forms compared to the 126 HP IV Deoxys Defense Forms, what's going to be more common for you? The Registeel matchup, the Talonflame matchup, the Umbreon matchup, or the XL Deoxys Defense Form Mirror? Which matchup are you going to run into most often and have clean HP and clean energy for? So I think most realistically, going for these 4 spreads is probably going to be the better option compared to going for these ones. But of course, I know that there are the doubters out there. You guys doubted me on the Dragalge stuff, so congratulations on that. Attack weighted Dragalge is still better in my opinion. But You want to have the higher bulk? Have the higher bulk. I don't think it's significant. The data tells me it's not significant. It's not significant. But if you're like, oh golly gee me, I have the rank 1, why would I want to build the rank 73? Well, here's why you'd want to do it. If you don't believe me, that's on you. You won't be beating no Umbreons, that's for sure. And that about wraps it up for my Deoxys Defense Form Great League and Ultra League IV deep dive. If you have any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to Swag Tips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. Holy shit, he's back. Okay, well, I can't say shit right away because of how that works.